Welcome back, guys. And what a way to wake up. Snow falling, Northern Illinois, November 9th. So I don't know when you're gonna see this video. That all depends on how quick I get to edit it. But we're back here for day 2 of framing. And we've got to deal with the white stuff, at least until it melts. And then we'll deal with more mud. So our goal today, we're gonna try to get the rest of these trusses up, get the purlins on, start working on some overhangs. I was gonna bring the 3394 Mega Deck, but honestly, it probably wouldn't even make it around. I didn't want to haul it on the roads this morning, so we'll go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way for now. Should be pretty easy to get these trusses up. That's a wet snow. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to shovel it, buddy. It's too wet. So this header detail here is going to be a little unique because we do have a truss that lines up about right here where we don't have a column, and what we're basically doing is treating this whole front wall like a header. And even though we're going to have a column here, we're going to go ahead and header off from this column to this column because the customer wants a window in the middle of the space, but there's actually a post supposed to be like right here. What Greg's doing is putting a couple blocks on, and then we're going to put some structural GRK screws through, and then that way we can mount the 2x12 double header on the front. It's going to go all the way across to this column, and then we're going to have another header that's going to go from this column to that column because we've got what we call stub columns. They're just going to be little stubbies at the top of this header. So Zach's making up the stub column. It's going to be a 2-ply, so there's going to be 2 of these little shorties in the middle of some taller ears, and that's going to be to accept the truss here and here, as well as the double truss that's going to come from this corner way back here across. It's going to be one of these, and then we're going to have a smaller truss that's going to define this space attached to that. So these are the structural GRKs we're using. These are 5 3/8, 5/16. They're going to replace your carriage bolts or your lag bolts. Now this is kind of pretty. When the sun comes out, the snow starts melting, we're framing. Don't worry, dude, I'll edit out one of those swings and I'll edit out the miss. So it'll look like you hit it 3 times perfect. Kind of a unique situation here. We have 0 posts that actually support a truss directly. You know, typically what you're going to see is like right here, we've got a center notch. The truss sits in there, and that's where we put all of our bolts. Well, on this building, we're literally having to do headers across the whole thing due to garage door openings, and right here, customer wanted a window right in the middle. So I just made the decision to not go ahead and put a column there, and we're just going to header it off with the double 2x12 stack, and the interior will also get done. So adds for a little bit of time, makes it a little bit more difficult. And I just realized here that this board needs to be removed because right here I got a mark. I got to run my porch header right in this location. I got a little anxious or excited, and we went ahead and framed this wall, stood it up yesterday, and as soon as we did it, we're like, dang it, we're going to be bringing out the Sawzall. So we got to cut some nails. These Fasco jumbo nails do not pull. They you'll pull the head right through the lumber. So I just used my claw to get it separated just enough, and then I'll just cut it. That is how good blades are these days. You used to just burn through that stuff. the next truss that we're going to be putting up, you can see has this random 2x8 going down the middle. Well, the reason for that is that's for flashing our sidewall where it comes into the truss, because this point is where the peak of the smaller side meets the roof of the taller side. So the fronts are all the same, but as it comes up, the peak is not centered on both sections, it's offset. So then we're gonna have this kind of rear sidewall showing, but I think it's gonna be kind of cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pick up the next truss and we're gonna set it right on top of this truss and we're gonna laminate it together. That way we can put them both up at the same time. This should be fairly interesting. We've got the double ply truss. Not really sure where we're gonna pick it from, so I'm just gonna kinda give it a whirl. It's a little awkward. Let's see what happens, man. We need to go that way a little? Or can you balance it?
Lift it up a little more. See how it
is. What do you think? You be able to get that up to Greg?
I should be able.
Or do you want to move it to the next spot over?
I'll get it up there.
Okay. Here we go. Got all the trusses up. We've got our purlins stacked and ready to go. You can see here now how this 2-ply, I don't know, it's a little dark, how this 2-ply, it basically is defining this little building and it's connected to the other truss that defines the big building. But we're gonna be losing daylight probably before we know it. The sun is already headed towards the horizon. We got purlins to run and hopefully some fascia and stuff, so let's go. Here I am up here on this truss detail. You can kind of see the goal was for our purlins to sit right on top of the one truss and then plane into this 2x8. We had that 2x8 put there so that when we run our roof and then we put all of our flashings, it's gonna have something solid to screw our steel and our flashings to. Otherwise, we typically, if you've seen, like we'll say the Dream Shop series, we had to frame all that in ourselves because I didn't think about it. Well, I learned this time and had my truss manufacturer put it in there for us. Working on the front fascia overhangs, 1 foot. Trying to get these overhangs before this sun goes down. It's close. It's gonna get dark on us again, and it's Friday. Make sure the job site is as clean as possible. You can see we've got a board here. So end of day 2 framing. We've got all of the trusses up. We got our purlins up. We've got the overhangs and fascia on the front of the building. We don't have our scissor lift, so we didn't mess with cutting all this off. We got the end fascia on. So I think we're sitting pretty good. Steel is supposed to be here first thing Monday morning. We'll get this front wall straightened out, put on the steel, and hopefully all these ground conditions improve so we can get our scissor lift around the back and do the back steel and fascia. You can see now how we kind of like to leave our buildings. We've got our X chain bracing on all of our walls. That's what's holding everything plumb. And then we've got our peak chain holding our peak from moving this way. And then we've got a cross chain here in the middle. I'm not too concerned on this small size of a building. We don't have anything really blocking the wind, and we've got this one wall that's kind of this zigzag, and that does add some rigidity, a little bit of something anyway. It's not amazing, things can still move, so that's why we've got our chains up, just to be safe.